Welcome back to day 26. Can you believe you made it all the way to today? Whether you watched all the videos or skimmed through some, or today's even your first day, you're watching right now, and isn't that amazing? You could be busy with anything else, but you're busy with this, your own growth, your own change. I find that absolutely amazing. I just want to make sure that you see yourself the way I see you. Before we jump right in and talk a little bit about what happens, in the last episode I talked about medicators. I talked about how my New Year's resolution, for those of you who aren't watching it in real time right now, is right after New Year's 2022. So my New Year's resolution is instead of medicating, I will be meditating. Every time I want to run away from the reality I'm in, I want to fill myself with something else, I know that there's something I'm running from. And instead of running from it, I want to lean in and start surrendering to it. Feeling all those ugly feelings that I keep running from and finding out that they're not that ugly after all. I just don't know how to feel them yet. And oh my God, it ain't easy. But what I wanted to talk to you about is what happens if we don't do that work. See, it might not be today that you're ready to actually make this as your resolution, but I want you to understand what happens if we don't do it, so that you can start noticing if this is a problem in your life, if this is something that's showing up a lot, and if this is something that's holding you back from that quality life that you want. And I know you want it, because you wouldn't be here if you didn't. Okay, so if we don't find the time to look inward, if we keep on running. There was one time I had like 5 years of my life that are pretty hazy and really are the ones that formed me into the girl I am today, the woman I am today. But for a very long time, during those times, there would be like bits of times that were running from one thing to the next, and that's pretty much what it was. All of that 5 years were on some level just running from one thing to the next, trying to find other ways to pacify myself. And the reason I go there, even though I don't really love the way that feels to talk about it, is because, are you pacifying yourself? Now, you might not be doing it in as ugly a way, well, I don't want to call it that, but in as intensely as I have. But if you're doing it on any level, I want you to know what the effects are. And I'm going to say them even though you know them, just so that you see that I really know. And so that you can actually look inside and say, wait, are they worth it? You see, before I go into what the effects are, medicators are just holding you back from feeling feelings. So it's like putting up a dam with a bunch of water. The feelings don't go away. The water's still there. And if you keep putting the dam up and the water keeps getting more and more, what happens eventually? And then the water comes flying in, and then you got to put up a new dam. Now that's what medicators are, that dam. And if the water gets too much, you're putting out new dams, and sometimes you're just putting scotch tape on the dam, and sometimes it just turns into a big mess. Now what I've learned is that what if we can find a way to take down the dam when we're ready and hold the effects, hold the water, hold the feelings. So this way it doesn't come at its own time when you're not ready. And this way you don't have to fear it coming, because you brought it in. You actually ushered it in. Now we're going to talk about that another time, but I wanted to express what the medicator looks like so you can have a real visual. Now, what the effect is when you medicate, when you're actually medicating, and medicating, as I said before, doesn't mean with pills. It also means with pills, it means with alcohol, it means with weed, it means with sex, it means with drugs, it means with working, it means with shopping, it means with literally anything. Watching, anything that you do, and you do it in an excessive manner just to take you away from the reality you're in. Even if it can even mean traveling, excessive traveling, like constantly needing another place to go to so that you have something to look forward to. That's another manner of medicating, of making it worthwhile. making the here and now just a means to an end. Now, the biggest effect that you'll have is on yourself. And because you're running, what you're teaching your inside is, I'm afraid of you. I'm afraid of your feelings. Your feelings are too big or too intense. I can't deal with them. Is that something you want to tell yourself? And my question to you actually is a lot deeper than that. Where did you first hear that? Who subliminally or outrightly told you that when you were way, way, way young? See, this manner of running, this can only be modeled. As a kid, you want to feel all your feelings. You want people to be there with you through your feelings. Unless your home doesn't allow it. Then at some point, some earlier, some later, you're taught to shut it out. I distinctly remember at around 8 years old, I was talking to my mom, and I remember the room I was in. I literally remember this, and I told her, I don't know how to shut it out. And she was like looking at me, what are you talking about? I said, there has to be an off switch for my feelings. I don't know how to do it. I'm going to try, and I'm going to try because I know that it'll make it better for you, but I don't know how to do it. That's not healthy. We aren't looking for a way to shut off our feelings. We're humans. We're meant to feel our feelings. If you ever hear that from your child, you should know that you're giving them that impression, that they should turn it off. But better yet, if you're continuing to run from your feelings, you're teaching that to yourself, that it's important that you shut off your feelings, and that's not, is that true? Is that what you want? Just to keep putting up dams and hoping it doesn't break, knowing that at some point it can just come crashing down? Or would you like to take it off, slowly but surely? So for today, we're not going to take it off, but for today, let's just put our hand on our heart. And let's talk to the part of us that we're running from. Let's make contact. Let's turn it into our friend. And say something to this effect. Repeat or make it your own. So, hey, Chaya. Hey, little Chaya. I'm sorry I sometimes run from your feelings. And I might make you feel like they're too big for me to handle. But that's actually not true. And I want you to know that I'm here. And I can't wait to feel every of your feelings with you. If it's ever too overwhelming, I will tell you, and we will shelf it for the time being so that there's room for more. But I look forward to feeling all of them together with you, including new feelings that we haven't felt in a very long time or ever, such as joy and gratitude and happiness, just plain pure bliss. But all feelings are accepted here. I love you. And that's how you make contact. Repeat or make it your own. Talk to yourself. Make room for those feelings, because it's time that the dam comes down. It's time that you make room for feelings that you never made room for before. And in doing so, your medicators will go away, because you'll be less afraid and need to run away less. So that's just to start scratching on the surface and getting your brain thinking of, hey, maybe there's another way. Maybe there's a way to really say goodbye to these medicators once and for all. Are you ready to do that? Let's go. See you soon.